Andy looks at Shawshank's cold walls, feeling immense oppression. The gigantic prison castle, like a monstrous beast, swallows the protagonist, and from then on, he enters a dark world, losing his freedom. The new inmates arrive at the inspection area, everyone standing in a line along the yellow mark. The yellow mark symbolizes the strict rules and invisible restrictions within the prison. It is not only a physical boundary, but also a psychological suppression and control of the inmates. As the camera moves, the warden gradually enters the audience's view, forming a symmetrical composition with the chief guard. One is responsible for setting the rules, and the other is responsible for punishing those who break them. The two cooperate seamlessly, jointly ensuring the prison's order and absolute control over the inmates.
I'm Mr. Norton, the warden. You are convicted felons. That's why they've sent you to me. Rule number 1, no blasphemy. I'll not have the Lord's name taken in vain in my prison. The other rules, you'll figure out as you go along.
The warden, arrogant and proud, saw himself as the god of the prison. No inmate dared to look him directly in the eye, except for one hothead who looked disdainful.
Any questions?
When do we eat?
The warden's gaze subtly hinted to the chief guard to crush the defiance.
You eat when we say you eat. You shit when we say you shit, and you piss when we say you piss. You got that, you maggot dick motherfucker?
Compositionally, the warden occupies the absolute foreground, embodying ultimate authority. He is the rule maker, the prison's authority, responsible for overall management and planning, enabling the chief guard to brazenly inflict violence.
I believe in 2 things, discipline and the Bible. Here you'll receive both. Put your trust in the Lord. Your ass belongs to me. Welcome to Shawshank.
After the warden's intimidation, the director noted in the script a gesture of holding up the Bible, which also foreshadows the future development of Andy's relationship with the warden. The film then meticulously depicts the new inmates' entry into the prison, emphasizing through cinematography their experience of being stripped of freedom and dignity. In the film, Andy undergoes 2 symbolic baptisms. Being sprayed by a water hose is a forced and humiliating ritual, where Andy is compelled to accept the prison system and life. The other baptism, after his successful escape, is a voluntary choice in a torrential rain, a result of his wisdom and courage, representing freedom. Andy also hid $500 deep in the back door, foreshadowing his later purchase of a hammer for $10. The camera focuses on the fat man, whose corpulent figure makes him particularly conspicuous among the inmates. Both in society and within the prison environment, obese individuals often become targets of bullying, and the fat man is no exception. They hold their blankets and Bibles like newborns. High walls and iron gates strip them of their freedom. Prison uniforms and numbers replace identity and individuality, turning them into nameless figures within the prison system. Andy's cell is at the end of the corridor, providing convenience for his future wall digging. As he walks in, the camera slowly pans up, revealing the low ceiling, creating a sense of oppression and confinement. This is also Andy's inner space, and as his character grows, the scene's arrangement will gradually change, with each item holding a special meaning, which will be mentioned later in the film. Night falls, and the duty officer walks to the center of the cell block to announce lights out. To achieve a realistic effect, real prison guards and inmates were brought in for cameo appearances. That shout truly conveyed professionalism. After the guards leave, the camera moves up to Red Cell. During the day, the prison was dominated by the guards, but at night, it becomes the inmates' territory. Unsettling giggles emanate from the cells. In the darkness, Red could be vaguely seen leaning against the bars, patiently waiting to begin the first breach of prison life. Life in prison is tedious, and teasing newcomers has become a regular pastime for the old inmates. The camera then moves to Haywood's cell. He is also on the first floor, directly opposite the fat man's cell. On the bed behind him are cigarettes and an ashtray. He also placed a heavy bet during the day. Fearing others might steal his bed, he begins to verbally provoke the fat man, aiming to make him mentally collapse.
I'll introduce you around, make you feel right at home. I know a couple of big old bull queers that just love to make your acquaintance. Especially that big white mushy butt of yours.
When filming the old inmates, the camera was positioned inside their cells, indicating their adaptation to the environment, while the new inmates were filmed through the bars, showing their predicament and their incompatibility with the environment.
I don't belong here.
We have a winner!
I want to go home.
And it's fat ass by a nose!
Under his verbal guidance, the fat man collapses emotionally, shouting to go home. Haywood becomes the biggest winner of the night. As the fat man breaks down, the camera cuts to Red, using the same composition. In the original novel, Red recalls his own experience of entering prison 20 years ago, suggesting he feels some sympathy for the new inmate's plight. Then a warm light shines on Red's face, pulling him back from his memories. The chief guard strides in menacingly, as some inmates, enjoying the spectacle, begin to snitch. Although the warden is nominally the highest authority, but at night, Hadley's power is direct. While Warden Norton may be corrupt, he maintains a facade of order. But at night, Hadley is unrestrained. Unchecked power is extremely abused. The sign above his head reads, "No smoking after lights out." At this moment, the fat man in the cell is making loud noises, and Haywood's cigarette smoke still lingers. For the chief guard, concealed violations can be overlooked, but obvious public misconduct is absolutely intolerable. Therefore, he adopts a tough stance towards the fat man's public violation. During the day, in front of the warden, Hadley merely prodded people with a stick, but now he swings his arm fully, just as an example to the others. The prison instantly falls silent. Red says nothing from beginning to end, nor does he move. He has long been institutionalized.
If I hear so much as a mouse fart in here the rest of the night, I swear by God and Sonny Jesus, you will all visit the infirmary. Every last motherfucker in here.
Then the lights go out, and the prison returns to darkness. Red looks towards Andy's cell, where he placed his bet. There's no movement. This first night's experience is a huge psychological shock for Andy, making him realize the cold brutality of prison. This prompts Andy to adjust his mindset more quickly, better preparing him to face prison life. The strong never complain about their environment. Instead, they adapt and change it. In Red's view, Andy's demeanor is vastly different from his initial panic upon entering prison. Despite wearing a uniform, he maintains an unexpected neatness and composure. Next, the director uses numerous symmetrical compositions and orderly shots to portray life in Shawshank prison. Andy remains a loner, sitting by himself at Red's group's table. He finds a maggot in his oatmeal, and old Brooks casually approaches, feeding the insect to the raven chick in his arms.
Jake says thank you. Fell out of his nest over by the plate shop. I'm gonna look after him until he's big enough to fly.
The raven, which fell into the prison, and Andy, who was unjustly imprisoned, arrived at Shawshank on the same day. As we mentioned earlier, Andy is the bird that cannot be confined, while Old Brooks represents the domesticated bird, and Red is the bird that, infected by Andy, regains hope. Haywood was the biggest winner yesterday. He asked the brother on duty at the infirmary about the fat man's injuries. The other person, disdainful of the betting behavior, bluntly states that the fat man is dead, his head bleeding profusely from being beaten by the chief guard. But there was no nurse on duty in the middle of the night, so he lay there until morning without receiving medical attention. Andy asks for the fat man's name, but Haywood snaps back. In prison, killing an inmate is commonplace. The fat man's death is just a part of daily life for the other inmates, who have become numb and show little emotional reaction to death. Andy tries to maintain his humanity in this environment, caring for and remembering every individual, which is also a crucial reason why he later earned the respect and trust of his fellow inmates. But next, he will face a huge problem. Just now, while everyone was queuing for chow, Andy caught the eye of the sisters. They checked out his face first, then took a lingering peek at his firm backside, lust flickering in their eyes. They didn't approach right away. Instead, they waited until after the meal, sizing him up again in the showers to see if the new fish met their standards. Darabont frames Andy between one heavy-set extra and another scrawny one up front, purposely making his smooth skin pop on screen. A sister steps in to block the aisle so no one else can get near him. Then their queen bee shoots a look that scares off a half-lathered, curly-haired inmate and saunters over. In Darabont's visual language, running water often symbolizes desire and thirst. Here, paired with those lingering stares, it creeps Andy out. He quickly yanks himself away and leaves the shower room, only stoking the ringleader's appetite. The novella tells us the prison yard used to be a quarry. Andy wants a rock hammer to nurture a hobby, chipping stone, carving for fun. Today he seeks Red out. Red stays wary. If you want to buy from me, 3 rules. It can't be used as a weapon. Cash only. If you're caught, you never mention my name. Next, the film shows the audience how Red managed smuggling within the Shawshank Redemption's iron walls. The warden, leveraging free labor, took on many external contracts. Weekly, large quantities of dirty clothes and sheets were delivered to the prison. Inmates on the assembly line were responsible for washing. The delivery boss, Red's informant, handled procurement and transportation, then tossed the packages containing goods to the contact person. They exchanged a glance, and the guard behind them noticed nothing. The goods were then thrown into a cart. To prevent interrogation by guards, the laundry owner quickly stepped forward to distract them, offering a cigarette and chatting idly. Afterward, during the assembly line operation, the contraband was found. The smuggled goods were waterproofed with craft paper. Leonard, responsible for laundry, then hid the smuggled items in Red's clean sheets and bedding, waiting for Red's arrival at the clean linen distribution point. He kept his arms folded, hiding 2 packs of cigarettes under his arm. Cigarettes were exchanged for goods. The hammer magically appeared in Red's hands. Next, Red placed the rock hammer, wrapped in a towel, through the iron bars on an old Brooks card and gave him a pack of cigarettes as payment. At this point, Andy is in his cell with a Bible on the table in front of him. The hole is already complete. When he hears old Brooks shout, Andy turns his head expectantly. As a deliver man, old Brooks is already adept. He has no psychological burden about transferring items, completing the task as long as he blocks the view behind him. So, he places the hammer on the front of the book, gripping it with his left hand, and quickly passes it through the bars. With the time and setting established, the film now delves into the protagonist's difficult moments. Andy is assigned work in the cleaning area. Today, the foreman is unusually stern. He walks directly through the crowd, heading straight for Andy, telling him to go to the storeroom at the end of the corridor to get bleach. As a newcomer, being ordered around by old inmates is somewhat common, and Andy doesn't pay much attention. In terms of lighting design, as Andy passes through the narrow corridor, the light shifts from bright to dim, foreshadowing potential danger. The original novel mentions that many things happened here, which the guards ignored, turning it into the sisters' territory. The laundry room is full of their friends, and he has been waiting in the factory for a long time. When the sisters' leader and her group approach, Andy instinctively grabs a handful of catalyst, threatening to throw it in their eyes if they come closer. The original novel states that these chemicals, if wet, become as dangerous as battery acid, capable of blinding. But at this moment, the sisters' leader is unfazed because she is confident that the sisters behind her will suddenly appear and embrace Andy. Andy struggles, but is still beaten by 3 people. The camera slowly pulls back, leaving a blank space. Next, the director uses a montage sequence to depict Andy's predicament in prison life. The daily oppression and hardship leave Andy breathless. First, there's the morning cell inspection. The camera almost touches the ground, and the intricate metal structures and foreground iron bars create a confined and oppressive atmosphere. Then the scene shifts to a bruised and battered Andy, trudging through the snow, externalizing his inner turmoil. He is at rock bottom, suffering from the sisters' harassment, enduring immense psychological and physical pain. Andy is overwhelmed by arduous work, his entire being like a dim, shadowy figure. In one scene, a giant pot lid slowly descends in the foreground. Andy, like the dirty clothes, has nowhere to escape, as if his life is also burdened by these heavy loads.